Hello, I'm in San Diego. In a few minutes, we're going to start a special broadcast. It's called the Global Business C-Suite. It's a new series. The views from the top level of organizations, huge, large, and small. Business organizations, not political. Very important. I love the flag, and I think it looks great on my screen. And our special guest today, pardon me, is Ron Cooper, who is now an executive trainer, top level, brainstormer, but his background is indicative. 26 years in the Air Force, U.S. Air Force, as an officer, squadron flight jet fighter during the Vietnam War, 300 missions survived, led a squadron, trained, very involved. Once again, this show is not political, but geopolitics, excuse me, is entering everything, as you know. So we have to cover that too, the impact of big business and decision-making at the C-suite level. What's the C-suite? Well, CEO, of course, but the team, Chief Human Resource Officer. In other words, people development, talent recruitment, acquisition. Very important. Basically, that's what we're all about today, and we'll be right back with our show. I have some work to do here to get settled. Be right back. Okay, now I can see.
Hey, good
And
morning,
we're
Ed. How
here
you doing,
with
Bruce?
Ron Cooper. Welcome. And you are on live TV at this moment.
Oh,
And
great.
I was just doing a brief announcement about the non-political nature of the upcoming show. However, geopolitics is clearly entering the space of business operations everywhere. And so we're going to cover it. But the show
Great.
is not political, but it certainly will have politics throughout. So, Ron Cooper, thank you very much for doing this unique broadcast. I'm calling the series and others Global Business C-Suite, which I just identifies the product, the top level thinking. And with that in mind, I want to share something with you. Later today, in my day, down the street here at the Hilton Convention Center, there's an international convention called ICF. Perhaps you know that, International Coaching Foundation Federation. They've retained me to come to their international meeting, which opens today and next couple of days here in San Diego. They've retained me for public relations work to they're giving me a press pass to attend anything, any session, and they are setting up organized meetings for me to meet and greet the executives of the organization, as well as keynote speakers and whoever else I want to meet, walking around in sessions in the exhibit, for the purpose of securing interviews on Global Business TV after the convention is over. Interviews on using my Zoom, but on pre-agreed topics. And I'm really super excited about this opportunity. I've never been at that convention before. I've been at many, but not that particular level. And so I'm quite honored to be able to do that. I wanted to share that with you because you are a coach.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, Ed. And I am familiar with the ICF, not having been certified through them. But a lot of us who are certified coaches use very similar techniques. And I certainly respect the ICF, and congratulations on this opportunity to work with them.
Yeah, I'll be reporting on that in the next week for sure, but in coming weeks. Uh, and uh, I was just contacted out of the blue. Of course, I have been for 20 more years, 20 or more years, uh, given the same kind of access at the Society of Human Resource Management, SHRM, uh, including this past year, this past June here in San Diego when 25,000 people were at that convention. And I'm still benefiting from that. I have a list of all these business
Great.
cards that I've picked up and already had a wonderful meeting, which you attended as well, with the ADP executive
Mhm.
just recently, and more will follow from all that. So I'm really super excited and anxious about today. It's going to be great. So I think we're going to be joined by at least one other person here, but we'll see what happens in the next few minutes. You and I will start now, if that's okay, about the idea of uh, no kings, the nationwide um, meetings that were just happened. Now, I did not attend any of them by design. They happened right down the street from where I live. I live in the downtown San Diego in the government center area in a condo next to a beautiful park and across the street from the ocean, the harbor. But Broadway is right down the street, and it's the home of the federal court, the state county court, the city court, and all the attorneys, and they're all right down the street here on Broadway. And this is ground zero for every march, for every conceivable protest. So we're very used to all of this, the helicopters over us and the police escort, making it really safe and organized. And nothing weird or strange happened. It was super quiet. And we're joined by Dr. Ken Lloyd. Thank you.
Morning, gentlemen. How are you today?
Good
We're,
morning, Ken.
the theme of today is the No Kings uh, meetings, protests uh, that just occurred. And this show is not political, as I was just explaining to the audience. However, geopolitics is certainly involved in business at every level. And we have our note takers coming on. So this is going to be a very public event here going forward. But once again, it's not a political show, but I love the flag and it looks good against my blue shirt. So I'm very happy to wear it, to show it, and particularly the nature of this talk show. Is that okay, Ken?
Of course.
Okay, great. So, just explaining to the audience out there the nature of this program, the new name, the branding, if you will, uh, is Global Business C-Suite. In other words, the view from the top. And there's no better topic right now than a discussion of President Trump and impacting business. Whether we like it or not. It's fact. Now, I want to practice full disclosure here as the broadcaster here, but during the 80s, I voted for President Reagan twice. And he was just a great guy, and he was really effective, and the policies were extremely helpful at that time for me and my business. I relocated myself and my family and my business from Boston to LA for bigger and better things. President Reagan being elected and promising to compete and defeat the evil empire in Russia meant that the defense appropriations and contracting work, Boeing and TRW and Chevron and others, are right here in Southern California, and it worked, I'll tell you. And big business boomed, and our California-bound recruitment tool and relocation information service just absolutely took off with the wonderful help and assistance, not from President Reagan, although he was there and leading the way with all the defense appropriations, but the Southern California corporations were right in the vanguard of that economic development plan. And I think they will again once things settle down here. But the LA area, I'll be real brief here. The LA Area Chamber of Commerce became a partner with me in distribution of the printed magazine. I have a copy here. I'll show once I get my hands on it. A community information guide that was developed for the purpose of aiding corporate recruitment, not only from around the U.S., but from the world legally, and particularly from the UK. Huge influx of software engineers who are from Cambridge University and the other one, Oxford University. They were the brains behind a lot of the internet development way back then, when it wasn't called the internet. And our guidebook, California Bound, was used by every major corporation, from Paramount Pictures to Boeing and everybody in between. And it was a fantastic success for the recruitment business, the relocation services, and for me, and of course others. It's going to happen again. The seeds of all that are happening not just here in California, but in Phoenix with semiconductors, and in Texas and South Central U.S., Nashville down through Bentonville, boomtown area, because of lower cost of living. And companies are opening, manufacturing is going there. I'm talking too much. Ken, welcome. Did you march in the No Kings protest in LA?
No, I did not.
Yeah, I did not hear either. As I was just saying, uh, all the protests for any cause go right down Broadway, which is a stone's throw from where I'm sitting right now in San Diego. And so we're tired of all that. We went to the beach. I assume, Ron, you did not march in the protests.
No, I did not. And I'll just say, for the sake of being very honest, I am a registered Republican,
Hey,
probably
me too.
more, okay, probably more aptly described as conservative rather than Republican. But I believe in capitalism. I believe in the entrepreneurs having let's say that it's through entrepreneurs that our economy is going to grow and so forth, not the government. But I feel as if I am, as I told you, Ed, before we got started, I feel as if I'm totally devoid of what the rational thinking is of no kings. We in the United States are a constitutional republic. We don't have a king. We're not a monarchy. So I suppose the word king refers to Donald Trump's personality, his resolve. Those who would choose to participate in the No Kings protests, I suppose, are saying they don't like Donald Trump's personality and his style of leadership. That's what I would assume. And I will tell your audience as well, Ken, Ed and Ken, that if I were asked the question, can I learn from anyone, even those with whom I strongly disagree? And the answer is yes. I'm very interested in knowing what other people think, why they think the way they do. And I'm not going to seek any sort of retribution. or get angry with just because we differ on whatever topic. I want to maintain a good, positive relationship. And so I'm very interested in learning from other people. And that's a lot of where I am. But I've just left with the general thought, and I certainly could be wrong, that the term king relates more so to Donald Trump's personality than his actual position, because Joe Biden was in the Oval Office and he was not referred to as a king. So I just make that mental analogy.
So, Ken, I'll get right to you, but I am a nonviolent um, person, and the No Kings was super organized all across the country. They started working on that a long time ago, whoever they are. I assume it's the Democrats. But there's a lot of people out there who are afraid of what looks like power grab, and some people are calling it a fascist approach to governing, and that approach has no place in America. And that was the driver, in my view, of all of that. Um, Now that I'm not a fascist, and my reading of history uh, is pretty scary, and nobody wants that, I think. Ken, would you like to comment?
Well, certainly agree with your point about nobody wanting fascism in America. I think the perception was that Donald Trump is engaging in behaviors that are regarded as, if you will, kingly, in terms of how he just placed the tariffs out there, which should have been arguably up to Congress, uh, bombing boats that he deems are filled with drug kings and drug lords and traffickers, and just walking down and seeing that Congress's power appears to be somewhat slipping in light of this. What I would like to see out of all of this, including the King's Rally, is can't we somehow use all of this as an impetus to get back together? My God, the government is now closed for 23 days. Doesn't seem to be a sign of that coming together. It's just so divisive right now. And it's very, very sad to me. And I hate to see extremes on any side dominating anything. I look at all of this as a call. Let's get these folks together and let's see if we can march again as a united democracy here. It is just so divisive right now that I just regard it as very sad, and certainly would like to see some of the key leaders get together and say, all right, enough is enough. Let's see if we can forge together as the United States and not something other than that that seems to be undermining the whole foundation of our country. I think it's very sad.
So
Yeah,
if I may just jump in here,
sure.
and I'll just be 30 seconds. Uh, I don't like the violence that's developed. Now, I don't know whether it's organized from Iran or Russia, or, I have no idea. And I'm a fan of old espionage movies, so I'm thinking that it is. But it's scary, and I don't want to travel. I used to travel all the time, frequently, not just around the U.S. And I don't want to go anywhere. I feel safe in here in San Diego, and I don't want to leave it, other than going to Palm Desert or Phoenix. But uh, okay, Ron, sorry.
No, I think we all three agree. There may be variations of approaching our agreement, but I think right now Donald Trump wants peace. He's negotiated several peace
It
treaties.
seems that way. Yeah.
Yes, and now, but how do you achieve peace? I too, Ed, I don't want violence. I don't want to be concerned about walking in the street at night, wonder if I'll get clubbed, carjacked, anything of that nature. But how do we achieve peace? And there are different ways to do that, different ways to negotiate. But I do believe in the general concept of peace through strength. And to achieve peace, sometimes you have to take actions that are temporary. And in my opinion, Iran was temporary, and tariffs are temporary. And I do believe that some good results can be achieved through various means. And I'm generally in favor of economic sanctions over warfare. But those are just different things. And I guess maybe some people think that Donald Trump is uh, exceeding his constitutional authority. Well, the courts will determine that. But I think Donald Trump's the kind of person, he will take action and then let the process of the systems work after that.
Seems to be that's what's happening. Uh, and for some reason, and I'm being comical here by saying that, companies and countries have agreed to invest tons of money. Maybe they were already planning it, but they didn't certainly announce it like it's being announced now, into the U.S. Foreign direct investment, companies investing in building up, as I already mentioned, in the south central part of the U.S. for manufacturing. That's low cost, and the regulations are being softened or changed to speed things up, and that's been needed. I totally agree with that process. I'm all for FDI, foreign direct investment. I've written articles for that London-based magazine on that topic, highlighting where investments have been targeted. Ron?
No, I'm in agreement with you, Ed, that we precipitously, that's my thought, have allowed China to take over a lot of our jobs. They have a large part of our minerals, and there's just a lot of things we need to do. And I have mentioned here before, but long-term thinking. I'm an advocate of America first, not to the exclusion of, but I think a lot of people respect our way of living here, capitalism and so forth. And quite honestly, as America thrives, a lot of other people are going to thrive along with us. And so I hope nobody interprets what I just said, America First, as being an arrogant statement, not to the exclusion of. I'm very much in favor of legal immigration and the like. But I just, I really think the No Kings rally is more so a matter of Donald Trump's personality. He's not going to he has no reservation about taking action on what he believes to be right. I believe he has thought through it, and not everyone agrees with him, but he's going to move forward on the resolve that he has already thought through and thought into and so forth. And so that's, I'm not, people will obviously discern some kind of a ideological position for me, but no, I'm just very interested in learning from everyone.
So, for those of you out there who have not read Donald Trump's book, I forget what it was, but The Art of the Deal or something like that.
Mhm.
The guy is a genius at public relations. You may not like what he's doing or how he's doing it, but he's figured out how to push the buttons. And that's exactly what's been going on here. And it's so clear. And he starts out with these big ideas and threats, consequential statements, meaning big statements to corner the market, if you will, the thinking market, the idea market about something or someone. And that's offensive to many people, and me included on many occasions, not all occasions. But I know what he's doing because I'm in the public relations space for 50 years or longer. And that's what he is. That's what he's doing. And he's not hiding it. So now how are we going to deal with it? So the Democratic Party and the investors in that organized, super organized this No Kings protest. And it was peaceful. I don't know of any news reports of any violence anywhere, which was kind of amazing. And this is America. People have a right to speak up, and it was proven. I don't know. I'm not on my soapbox here. Just
Well, Ed, I'm going to comment just very briefly here. I'm going to believe because this No Kings rally was what, 3, 4 weeks separated from Charlie Kirk. In Charlie Kirk, that
but
was
yeah,
very
but
unfortunate.
the No Kings organization was done months before.
Oh, it was done months before, but I
Right,
think one of the current emphases was in the context of no violence, no
right,
arrest.
right.
Oh, we who to support the No Kings rally, I think, are saying we have got to go. We've got to be extraordinary about not having any violence in this because Charlie Kirk. Look at what happened there, and
Yeah, it's
obviously
terrible.
that's
Awful.
very. Charlie Kirk was very much a let's say a conservative right wing type of situation. Well, we Democrats on the left side, it would seem, are saying, well, we got to make certain that we don't get recognized for the negative if we have the protest. That's just some of my observations, and what it may be totally incorrect.
Yeah, so the protests, just to go back in time, following the unfortunate shooting or murder of um, people who were black a few years ago.
George Lloyd?
Oh, that's right. I couldn't think of the name. Um, Here in San Diego, which is not a hotbed of protests, had a violent protest right down the street here. And there are people who I don't think were from San Diego who were breaking windows right down the street here. This is an upscale area here, store windows. And right next door is a city park, the largest city park in San Diego. And for 200 years, they say, it's been here. And there are gangs running through the streets right through here with the police chasing them. And it was really scary to see. Now, I'm right above it, higher up, not on the street level, but it was frightening. And I'll never forget that fear that I had.
Yeah, I'll interject very quickly. And Ken, I'm very interested in learning your thoughts. Marty and I live in Maryland, and I consider ourselves the East Coast California. We're extremely deep blue here. But Marty and I live in the country. We're on 103 acres. And so we purposely do not go into Washington, D.C. at night in the larger cities. We don't participate in these kind of rallies and so forth. We watch them from afar, if you will. And it's just, I'm interested in observing and just seeing what is going on. I read one estimate of 7 million across the United States involved in the Three Kings. I don't know. I don't know if that's an accurate statement or not. But I will tell you, Ed and Ken, that I am a very vigilant person because I do know that in some cases it doesn't take much of a conversation to activate somebody into some form of retribution. And I certainly I'll do everything I can to keep Marty, my wife, away from that kind of environment. but I am very vigilant. When I'm in a restaurant or any public gathering, I want to sit where I have a panoramic view of everything so that I can take what I think would be appropriate action should something consequential happen in that setting.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I don't think with the same level of awareness as you, but I pick a seat where I know where the exit is
Right.
and have a view rather than back to the room, facing the room.
No, that's exactly.
Uh,
I want to be totally aware of the environment in which I'm of where I am, so that I know exactly how to react. I'm also a defensive driver. What if the oncoming car does something?
okay.
Yeah, what if is kind of how we have to live today. But I'll tell you, my dad always, he, in quotes, played the what if game. And when he would engage in whether it's business meetings or anything else, he'd be thinking, what if? So that, in other words, we're planning, we're thinking ahead, we're thinking of the worst questions that someone could ask, the worst actions that might be taken, and what will we do? So there are no negative surprises in that sense. I was very, very glad to see. I read the same number that you did, Ron, on the number of people in the No Kings demonstrations, between 6 and 7 million. I was very glad to see that there was no violence. That my concern was not at all with those who are out there expressing their rights and their views and their opinions. I think that's very important in America today. At the same time, I was glad to see that there were no outside agitators, as Ed described, that were turning this thing into something else. And I think that the fact that there wasn't was just a very good sign. I think it clarified even further the message that the people have to send to the leadership of the country to say, we don't sense that things are operating as democratically as we would like, and we want to express that, and they expressed that right, and it's completely within their rights to do that. But fortunately, there was no violence with it, and I think that really helped make the message all the more resounding.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, in the context of the rallies organizing and so forth, any information I read, I want to. By my nature, I'm skeptical. I want to know if it's factually correct. And so whatever it is I read, I'm not going to get upset about it, get excited. Anything. I would like to be able to quote the source of the facts, just so that I know if something is being reported accurately or not. And I know almost everyone has a source of facts to support whatever position they believe in. I am aware of that, but I would certainly like to get to the source of facts if I can.
So this is all about business. This program is all about business, and business has a voice. In the past, the business people have just stayed away from politics. They don't want to upset any customers, whoever they may be. And Ken, I mean, you were involved, and you still are, advising big companies about, leaders of big companies to steer clear of things. How are you advising? Or how would you advise?
Oh, in terms of taking a political stance, I think
Well,
within
yeah,
the
because
organization,
employees are citizens, and
yeah, within the
the
organization, people, if they want to take various positions, that's fine. I think companies at large today want to just take a wider view and support democracy. And in terms of coming out strongly one way or the other, they have the right to do that. Go ahead. But I would think, let's think very carefully about this before taking those kinds of steps. We're not in the political arena in business per se. We're not trying to be a business political organization. At the same time, I think we have to recognize that a business approach can be very helpful in government, and a more political approach can be very effective and helpful in business. I'll look at the most recent business approach that I saw the Trump administration take, and that's in dealing with the hostage crisis. And they used a purely business-like approach. These were 3 real estate developers, if you will, that went over there and got the hostages back. And they didn't use classical political negotiation strategies. They used a business approach, and it worked. And it got the hostages out. We're obviously still waiting for the rest of the remains of those who died during this horrible event. But at the same time, there was an accomplishment by using a business approach that had simply defied political strategies. I think that's very interesting, in the same way that there can be political approaches in business. I think companies do have to tread carefully, as does government, in the same lane.
You know, Ed, I'll interject here that I personally, as a businessman, do not engage in social media at all. And let's say commenting about someone, because if someone can read something into whatever it is I wrote, I can be immediately divisive. That is, let's just say we're very divided 50-50 in the United States. And if I take one side or the other ideologically, a person could read that as I'm a divisive person, that I'm not going to deal with Ron Cooper because he made this kind of a comment. And so I do think that I personally stay away from social media, making any inputs that way. However, in conversations such as we're having right now, I don't have a problem stating my views, because I can carry on a relationship through us in the context of a dialogue. I'm a believer that as long as we can have a dialogue, I can establish a relationship with you. But I look at social media as faceless, voiceless, and largely it's just divisive. And people argue over it, and I'm not going to engage in that.
So, Ken, what's next?
What's next? Oh my goodness, it's so hard to know what's next. In this crazy world, things happen so rapidly, and as Ron just mentioned, social media is such a driving force. You read about where certainly a lot of the millennials are getting their news. It's not traditional sources, it's not traditional media, it's social media. They're not looking at the news programs or reading a lot of the basic newspapers, if you will, online or whatever. They're getting it from social media, and who knows what we're getting out there. I remember, I don't know, probably 15 years ago already, that we are entering what was called the post-truth era. It's a very scary thought, but what is truth? What is factual? Other than ideas, theories, opinions, hypotheses. When we were growing up, the most trusted man in America was Walter Cronkite. He was a news broadcaster, and people really thought, here's where you get the news. These days, it's far more editorialized. So where are we going? It's very, very hard to know. And in the political world, again, you see the parties are quite divided, and it's very hard to know right now. Just a giant question mark in my mind as to what is happening. My goodness, you read some of these books that where some of the world's wealthiest people are talking about doomsday, and they're setting up not only rooms, shelter private rooms and bunkers for themselves, but even islands, if you will, where they can go. All that is, who knows where we're going. I'm an optimist by nature, and think that we will get there, but it won't be an easy path. There's real work to be done ahead to pull all of this together to make us more focused on what the real most important goals are as an entity, as a company, as organizations, and as individuals.
Ooh. So this is a show about business, and what do you think business people, particularly people involved in talent development, recruitment, coaching employees to learn to adapt, and the threat of AI taking away jobs, most people don't know what to think about it. But all of a sudden, we're seeing headlines saying this company's laying off 16,000 people, or, it's whoa. What are they doing
Well,
that for?
Ed, I don't know all the facts behind a company laying off 16,000, but I do. I'm a general believer that as we business entrepreneurs choose to adapt to technology, will AI in fact replace employees, or am I, as a business owner and a leader, am I going to employ AI to enhance my business, but not replace people? I've made the statement on your show before that I don't think anything is going to replace the human brain. I do think that computers can certainly do repetitive tasks faster than we can, but I don't think there's any mechanical device that'll ever replace the brain, because even that mechanical device, internet, computers, chips, and so forth, all began in the mind of a person, and so it came about that way. But again, I want to be careful about not being divisive. That in terms of employees and the furtherance of my company, I hire based on values. I do not hire based on ideological stances. As long as we can agree that we'll never demean each other, you're not going to embezzle money from me, and so forth. Ideologically, it's only a peripheral issue where you may be on that, but values are central, foundational to me.
So I'd like to say that we could end this program now, or we could continue another 12, 15 minutes if you want. We don't want to take up the audience's time unless we're adding value. So let's talk about in business things, Ron, and at your level of senior level coaching, how does how does a company in the US take advantage of situations of talent availability, apparently, because of layoffs, where some leaders think that AI means that this is a time to get rid of payroll, just offload people. That's pretty scary for a lot of people right now.
Oh, and I do understand that, Ed. And again, in the context of repetitive tasks, I do believe computers can do that faster than we can. And so, as we can streamline our processes, might some, let's say, accounting people be shifted from one position to another? Oh, I think that's possible. But again, I as a leader want to capitalize on the human brain as much as I can. And again, I want to hire based on values, but also I'm very interested in looking for people who are hungry to learn. And as we have that hunger to learn, there's a whole array of topics that go along with that. But as we have that hunger to learn, we'll use computer technology, chips, and so forth to enhance what the brain can put together. And that's kind of an overarching statement, but that's a lot of where I am.
Ken, in your coaching world these days, and looking back over the years when you were an active corporate leader in a manufacturing environment, how do you train people to do work that computers are doing now, or automation is doing?
I think the key thought ties into with what Ron is saying, that it's not out there to replace us, but rather to help support, build, enhance, and help us work more productively and effectively. So there can be times where you can rely on AI and technology to put together some ideas, and all it what might have taken you an hour and a half to do, you can get it very quickly, but still it has to come from you. So I mean, we've talked about in the context of employee performance appraisals, simply turning it over to AI is going to fail. It's not going to have the human brain, the human touch, the actual experiential knowledge it's required to really give someone feedback that's going to be meaningful. It's going to be mechanical, and frankly, those on the receiving end are going to know this really isn't written by my manager. This is I can read it, you can see it. People know that, but to help as an additional tool to help employees carry out their work, AI can be fantastic, but instead of thinking as a replacement, but rather as reinforcement, as building, as strengthening what I'm doing, and letting me spend time on other areas of work more effectively and more productively. I think that's really the mindset that we want to have, not replacing people, because that really takes us down the path. It's not even true. Is it going to happen in some cases? Well, people might lose their jobs out of it, but it's a matter of rerouting careers and going into areas where you can capitalize and take advantage of this new technology, and not just, hey, I'm going to use it to cut people out of work. I'm going to use it to help be more effective. And I think the kind of environment that Ron is talking about that I'm very interested in is a learning environment, and that's throughout one's career, to continue that learning process, to be open to changes and new ideas and new developments, to build and enhance individually as well as organizationally.
And Ken, to add on to what you're saying, right now, Marty and I together are using ChatGPT to interact with it. It's almost as if we're talking with ChatGPT. We are training the artificial intelligence to learn us, our business, and so forth. And we are asking, how would you, okay, give me 5 different ideas on some sort of a topic. And it comes back and said, well, would you like me to do something? Well, actually, yes, why don't you? And so as we interact with that form of AI, I do use ChatGPT to see if maybe through that medium, we can generate some ideas that I hadn't thought about. But with those ideas, I want to take those as innovative thoughts. What can I do with those thoughts? Not to replace people, but how can I increase productivity, efficiency, and everything about it? And so I'll never have a computer. Well, I say never. Generally speaking, I'm not an advocate of replacing people with computers, but certainly I can. The computer may generate some ideas that I hadn't thought of, and I'm fine for using it for that extent.
So companies as a learning organization, as a college. I want to talk for a minute as we come to a close here. Ron and I discussed this at the beginning before you arrived, Ken. Today and tomorrow is here in San Diego at the Hilton Convention Center is the ICF, International Conference. Coaching Federation, International Coaching Federation. And they've given me a press pass to help them organize public relations about what went on at the event coming up starting today and all day tomorrow and part of Saturday morning. And they're introducing me to their executives today. And they're setting up interviews, brief encounter interviews over the next day and a half with key speakers. And one of the hottest topics is CEOs leaving companies, and what are the C-suite CEOs in particular going to do next? Their loss of status personal status, their loss of control, loss of assistance in doing things, getting things done. Well, what are they going to do? There's a brain power, that capability that's out to pasture. And it's a big problem. And the coaches at that top level are tuning in. They're already tuning in. And I would like your opinion, Ken, and some words of wisdom. And I'm going to be meeting with these people starting this afternoon, my afternoon, and continuing in tomorrow morning. And this is topic A.
Yeah, well, individuals who get into CEO roles have displayed the motivation, the drive, the personality, the characteristics, the expertise, kind of that intrinsic sense of what they want out of life. And they seek positions that a CEO carries out. So for them, it's either going into another CEO role in another company. It's interesting. They can change industries. The skills that a lot of effective CEOs have is not so much the knowledge of how to make these items or create these various products, but rather leadership and developing an organization and acting in a visionary way to go even wider. So I see them either seeking out and obtaining successfully other CEO roles, or frankly, forming their own venture that basically all of them have in mind. And many of them, they're thinking, if I weren't here, I could grow and build and develop this. Well, maybe when they leave that organization, it's time to fulfill that dream as well, because these are strong inherent personality characteristics that frankly a lot of them share and carries them successfully along in their business careers. So when that change, if that change occurs, is there another organization where you really might fit in and thrive and continue to build it, not simply run it? They don't want to just run something. The CEOs, particularly those with the entrepreneurial spirit, want to build it. They're not just coming in to hold the reins. They want to add some more horses to it, take it wider, faster, and into new courses. So I think as they learn about themselves and their motivations, then it will help them either seek another CEO role or go the other route. And this is a wonderful time for visionaries. See if they can go that route as well.
And Ron, how would you ask ChatGPT that question?
I would start out, now I'm just thinking off the fly, that as a CEO, what opportunities exist out there? What else can I do? And I would dialogue back and forth with ChatGPT. And it's somewhat like communicating with a person. My experience is it'll ask me questions. What do I want the AI to do? But I will tell you, from many CEOs get a lot of fulfillment and satisfaction through mentoring. And mentoring can be different from coaching, but yet I think there's a very close parallel. That while the CEO may not be the senior person in an organization, we certainly get a lot of satisfaction out of inspiring others in mentoring them to achieve whatever it is they want to achieve. And we might be able to help them overcome any mental inhibitions about taking on something new and innovative, and they haven't done it before. But I think there's a lot of roles for that.
Mentoring versus what?
Mentoring versus coaching. Now, it can be different, and there are probably as many different definitions of coaches as there are people you would ask for the definition. But one aspect of coaching is you are helping a person through open-ended questions, helping them to maybe overcome whatever is in the subconscious to help them achieve whatever greater good there is in them. In other words, the solution to whatever they're seeking lies within. You're just helping that person to determine what that solution is. And you do that through coaching and open-ended questions. So that's one thing. But the mentoring is another trait that you are showing the person the way, the way to achieve whatever it is they want to achieve, and you're doing that through inspiration.
So that means like me putting on a show, okay, putting on producing a program. This is not scripted, obviously, but how to go to the next step. Okay, you've got a set of circumstances. Um, Bob, do this and then do that and then look for that.
Yes,
It's
I
just
think that's
organizational development stuff.
yeah, that's a lot of what it is, Ed. Yes, exactly.
Thank you. Ken, are you familiar with ICF?
Am I familiar with Axia?
No, ICF,
Oh, I see. I didn't
International
know. I was like,
Coaching
Axia, no. I
Federation.
very, very basically. I'm
Uh-huh.
not a member, and so you read about these various organizations, what they do, but no in-depth familiarity at all.
Well, I'll bring home information
Please do. I'd be
and
very
share
interested to
it.
hear.
I know
Absolutely.
it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I'm in other organizations, not ICS. I mean, I'm in the American Psychological Association, Society for Industrial Organizational Psychology, SHRM, and all, not ICF. So whatever you learn, I'd be interested in hearing about.
Coming to a screen near you.
Perfect.
All right. Thank you, guys. Ron, thank you for the topic.
No, thank you. And I think these are, it's all a matter of can we learn from each other, even if we're very different? And I would hope the answer is yes. That as we can have meaningful, helpful, constructive dialogue, we can always move forward.
Well, I thank you both for your kind interest in the next edition that now organizing about Asia Pacific. And Philip Berry has a wonderful session coming up in the next couple of weeks, which if I haven't already, I'll send you that invitation. And I'm so honored to have Philip as a mentor, talking about that for all these years as an advisor, uh, taking me to a new level. And so now I'm returning that favor by this super topic coming up. More about that later. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, Ken and Ed.
Thank you. Thanks to both of you. Have a great one.
Thank you. Okay, I'll be getting this ready for public viewing probably later in my day or tonight.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Be well, guys.
Have a great day.